Hey, heathens. Don't ask, don't tell. Let's take a look at that. Intolerance towards homosexuals in the military has been around for a long, long time. I'm going to pick up around the Reagan administration, where it was determined that homosexuality and military service were incompatible. Fast forward a little bit to the Clinton administration, where they wanted to get rid of that so that homosexuals could serve in the military. Fast forward a little bit more, where that law basically got trumped and don't ask, don't tell was born. The full name of the act, however, there's one last part to it that most people don't know, and that's don't pursue. That's going to be important here in just a little bit. First, let's take a look at what the 1993 idea was. Don't ask. In other words, I'm not going to ask you what your sexual orientation is because it should not matter. Don't tell. Don't come out and tell me what your sexual orientation is because it doesn't matter. And that's the general idea. Let's just leave it out and let's not care. So gays could be in the military as long as they basically kept it to themselves. Violation of free speech and freedom of expression, but let's ignore that. After all, it is the military. They're fighting for our rights, not their own. Now let's take a look at a case that's in the news here recently. This is one that I briefly talked about in a blog TV that I did, and I want to bring it to your attention if you have not already seen it. This thing is still ongoing. I don't think it's been fully settled, so to speak, and it's actually been going on for a really long time. This is the story of U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, that's Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach, who is decorated, which means he's good at his job. He's a pilot, or at least he was, but for the last several years he has not been allowed to fly. He has been mandated to do desk work while this investigation was going on. Long and short of the story, there was a man who had said that he had been raped, and Fehrenbach had become a suspect in this. Fehrenbach then said, we had sexual relations, but it was all consensual. End of the story is that there was enough evidence for them to say, okay, yes, it was consensual. He did not rape this man. He's clear of the charges, and they moved on. The problem is that in order to prove his innocence, he had to admit that he had had homosexual relations with another man. And they're claiming that violated the don't tell part. Never mind the don't ask part. Of course, they didn't ask him if he was gay, but he kind of had to tell them in order to defend himself. And so here's this decorated lieutenant colonel. Okay, I'm not talking about some guy who just enlisted or some guy who's slacker to begin with. No, decorated lieutenant colonel who's been taken out of his position, where all of you Army and Navy and Marine and everything else, all you people who love the military so much, who are also so against this, idea that homosexuals would be in the military, you have a decorated lieutenant colonel in the Air Force who is not allowed to do his job because of you. Let's back up. Reagan said that being homosexual and being in the military were incompatible. I would please love for someone to explain to me how our opponents in any military attack gives a crap about the sexual orientation of the guy firing the bullets at them. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. So when you have a decorated lieutenant colonel who wasn't out there, doing gay pride parades, he was defending his innocence successfully. And in the course of doing so, had to admit to investigators, that, he had homosexual relations with another man. And now you want to kick him out of the military? This is what you think serves our country? the story is ongoing, and I'm hoping there'll be some sort of a solution here soon. The solution that will probably happen is it'll get raked up underneath the rug, and they'll just kind of let it all die out. But I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that this becomes the true test case that finally eliminates this ridiculous idea that someone can't be in the military simply because they're gay. It's stupid. Beyond that, a California judge has already declared it unconstitutional. Not the first time it's happened, but this is a situation where they've reviewed it and said that it does violate their free speech, their freedom of expression. And so therefore, don't ask, don't tell is unconstitutional, has to go away. Problem is that the judge that has declared this doesn't have really the authority to say that on a national level, and that would be correct. But an appeals court could take it to the Supreme Court and use this as the case that I mentioned before to try and make that change. And I hope that happens. So I'm sure that most of my subscribers would agree that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is a failed policy. Number one, because it doesn't get homosexuals out of the military. It just keeps them quiet about it, and what good does that do in the end? And here you have a victim of this policy where a decorated lieutenant colonel isn't allowed to do his job because he defended his innocence. This is a rule that has to go. Any sane and logical person should easily see that by now. But if you are one of those people who still says that homosexuals should not be in the military, please explain to me why. Explain to me why Lieutenant Colonel Fehrenbach should not be allowed to do his job simply because he tried to prove his innocence. Don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.